Hello everyone and welcome back to game week 1 of the 2024-25 Optegra Championship here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, for this fixture between Manchester United and Villa Rockets Lions. Let's go through the squads. Then I'll talk about how these two have fared in game week 1 thus far and implications of certain results on the league standing. So Manchester United with just a squad of 4 this weekend. Kieran Burns, Josh Slack, Sam Taylor and Shannon Smith. Despite that lack of depth, they've been really good. Really, really good. And they will almost certainly be wanting to maintain that momentum in this one against Villa Rockets Lions, who haven't had quite such a start to the league as their rivals. They have a squad of 5. We'll go through the starting squads once they are lined up. But exciting to see how these two fare. Showing the league standings, you will see that of their 3 games played, Manchester United have won 2, drawn 1, lost none, scored 3, conceded none, so sit on 7 points, 2 points adrift of GBG Knights in second, and 5 points off top of the table Muscle Warriors, who've been formidable across their 4 fixtures. Add that to how prolific they've been in front of goal, but GBG Knights, who command most of the spots in the top goal scorer charts. George Holloway on 8, Riley Priestley on 7. 7 strikes against AFC Bournemouth Warriors in an 8-1 victory. Fairly unprecedented, certainly in the context of Nottingham Forest, who scored 8 goals in the entirety of the 23-24 season. So a huge result, huge scoreline that will boost confidence and momentum ahead of game week 2 of the competition, scheduled for the 24th and 25th of November. So once again, thank you to all that are joining me. Scheduled for a 12:45 kickoff with a central referee of Steve Crump. Talking about these two's performance across game day 1, Manchester United kick-started the season with a 0-0 draw against Teesside Steel, who've been really impressive in their performances before a 2-0 victory over Hull and East Yorkshire. 2 strikes from Samuel Taylor, helping them secure them 3 points. In the game this morning against Sale United, slightly more narrow in terms of the winning margin, but a winning margin nonetheless. 1-0 that one. Once again, Sam Taylor on the goal scorer sheet. So a win here would see them be unbeaten across game day 1. Sorry for that. Breaking commentary. We are ready to get things underway here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, where it will be just me calling the action. If you're wanting to watch Hull and East Yorkshire versus Manchester City, that is also live across the WFA's YouTube channel. Commentary brought to you live via Nick Woodward. So Steve Crum just gets the captains of Manchester United and Villa Rockets into the centre to determine which team will be giving kickoff, but it allows me the opportunity to go through the starting four for both teams, starting with the designated home team, as they only have 4 players. So Josh Slack, Kieran Burns, Sam Taylor, Shannon Smith, and for Villa Rockets Lions, Nicky Baker, Mason Hindley, Daniel Ball and Sam Turner. As we get things underway, immediate pass to Sam Turner. Mason Hindley received a yellow card in that earlier 1-1 draw with Teesside Steel, but also notched the equaliser, a brilliant one at that, so be looking to add to his tally in this one as well. Standout player for Villa Rockets last season as the attempts and effort on goal in the first 25 seconds. Josh Slack now trying to break the press of Mason Hindley, who does brilliantly. The whole ball had left the side of the court. All those unaware, on the side of the courts, we are playing to the red lines, and at the ends of the black, the orange tape, or the orange painted lines now, designate the goalkeeper area. So Kieran Burns having a brilliant weekend, arguably his best in National League memory. Sam Taylor just guides it towards the back of Mason Hindley, but Nicky Baker alert to swipe it out of danger and turn defence into attack. Very open, end-to-end stuff already. Should there be any scores on court 8, I'll bring you them as soon as they go in. But here, down ball, passes to Mason Hindley, tries to return the favour and just drives it into the side of Sam Taylor in the process. Villa Rockets Lions won 11 of their 22 games last season, so exactly 50%, resulted in 3 points. They finished on 37 across the entirety of the 23-24 campaign, which was the exact same as Muscle Warriors and West Bromwich Albion Dudley. Mason Hindley now trying to create something for his team. Finished on 14 league goals last season, so an impressive tally for that number 8. He was experiencing National League football for the first time. Joshua Slack with the goal kick. Intercepted immediately by Mason Hindley. Guides it down to Daniel Ball, who nearly is fortunate to capitalise on a deflection between himself and the Manchester United defender, but wide of the left-hand post. Slack. Contact between Hindley and Burns. Almost certain to be a fiery, aggressive, physical battle between the two central players. Both have received yellow cards across game week 1. Hindley. Back to Dan Ball. Into Hindley. Sam Turner, the recipient. Contact between the defenders. Sam Turner trying to capitalise. Strong contact from Josh Slack. Eventually rolling out for a corner ball. Burns into Sam Taylor across the Manchester United face of goal. Hindley to Sam Turner. Strong play from Josh Slack. Real attribute to his game. He can play many different styles. Will always typically be the most defensive of the four Manchester United players, but is very prone to breaking when the opportunity allows. Sam Taylor over to Shannon Smith, rotated spin kick, the right intent, the right option. Unfortunately, didn't quite get the timing, but positive stuff from Manchester United. Nicky Baker. Off of Daniel Ball. Out for a kick-in. To be taken by Kieran Burns. Burns into Taylor. Back to Slack. I really like the fact that they're passing backwards to create spaces forward. Takes an element of bravery to pass back, certainly when there's no players beyond Joshua Slack. And this is what I've seen across their game week one. All four players of Manchester United in the defensive half of Villa Rockets Lions. We spoke about it in their earlier 1-0 victory over Sale United. That bravery is essentially what got them the 3 points. Not just that game, but against Hull and East Yorkshire as well. Credit very much owed to Pete Taylor for that one. Because whilst there is an expectation for teams to do well, certainly one that's been relegated from the top flight of football, I really appreciate it when teams feel they have a responsibility to entertain as well, put on good passing football, bravery, and what Josh Slack is doing now is testament to that. Of course, it comes with a very credible element of risk. If Villa Rockets Lions can break, it's almost a certain opportunity, if not open goal, for them to aim at. And that's why Joshua Slack needs to be in constant communication with his second pivot, Kieran Burns. 8 minutes gone. Manchester United 0, Villa Rockets Lions 0. Here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre. Fairly even in the game. No real clear-cut opportunities. I think the key for success will be in both teams unlocking their wingers. Manchester United have really struggled to get Shannon Smith into this game, and the same can be applied for Villa Rockets Lions, where Sam Turner and Dan Ball have had very little of the ball. It's always a trademark to teams playing. Large percentages of the play will be locked up between the central players. Sam Taylor, the one that comes back to support the defensive actions of Manchester United. Shannon Smith will always be the most advanced, as Sam Taylor picks it off in the direction of the number 44, Shannon Smith, who recently transferred over from sister club Sale United. She had a brilliant 23-24 campaign. I believe she was voted as either the unsung hero or the standout player for one of the weekends. That ball rolls out of play. I can confirm Shannon Smith was voted the standout player of game week 4 of the 23-24 campaign. Sam Turner, on the opposition team in this game, was her coach, player coach at the time. So two players that will be very familiar with one another's game. How that plays out in this, we will see as the game progresses. They're both on that left-hand side at the moment, certainly as you're viewing it. Free kick for Manchester United. Taylor. Smith. Back to Kieran Burns. Good work from Mason Hindley, just to bypass the Scotsman. Joshua Slack quickly out of his defensive box to restrict Hindley. Just gets the better. Now one-on-one. Tries to weave past Burns, but good positioning from the United number 9. A lot of pace on that ball. Sam Turner unable to keep it in play. Goes out for a goal kick. Just one substitute on the bench of Villa Rockets Lions. Luke Millington. Manchester United without any substitutes, which has also been the case across game week 1. Mason Hindley now just trying to play it off Kieran Burns. Good decision to let that roll out for a kick in, to be taken by Dan Ball. Into Mason Hindley. Pick off back to Daniel Ball. Puts it in an area that Sam Turner has to advance into. Off the back wheel of Joshua Slack. They just seem to be cancelling one another out in this game. Nothing of note in the first 13 minutes played. Remains goalless on court A as well, between Hull and East Yorkshire and Manchester City. Burns. At the conclusion of game week 1, keep an eye on the WFA social media, where you can cast your votes for standout player of the weekend, unsung hero of the weekend and team of the weekend. Standout players where you can nominate a single performer you believe to be the standout across game week 1. Unsung heroes where you can highlight someone who made significant, maybe overlooked contributions to their team's performances. This may be someone who provided essential defensive stability or offered emotional support, added creativity, something that maybe goes beyond the goals and assists and the big headline achievements. And of course, team of the weekend, you choose 4 players, 2 substitutes and a coach you believe to be the top performers across game week 1. And we will acknowledge them across social media tomorrow. Kieran Burns now out to Josh Slack. Kieran Burns into Nicky Baker. Joshua Slack very advanced. Shannon Smith occupying the most defensive of the 4 players. Mason Hindley tries to spearhead a break. Good work from Sam Taylor. Very vocal from Kieran Burns as Taylor turns defence potentially into attack, and a readjustment from Mason Hindley ensures that isn't the case. Just about keeping it in the Manchester United defensive half. I hope Kieran Burns' communication and encouragement is picked up on stream. Very, very vocal. Shannon Smith, the closest option in support. Sam Taylor right on the other side. Turner. An unfamiliar role for Sam Turner as well, formerly of Sale United. He would typically, to the best of my knowledge, would always be operating as the goalkeeper. So an attacking wide role for the number 14 shows his versatility. No doubt he'll be an asset to Brad Bates' team going forward, as will new signing Naglis Montvillash. Daniel Ball. Blocked by Sam Taylor. Two and a half minutes left to be played. Manchester United 0, Villa Rockets Lions 0. Half-time on Court A between Manchester City and Hull and East Yorkshire. Currently 0-0, and a misfortunate deflection gives Manchester United a very late goal in the half. Just trying to see if it came off Shannon Smith last, or potentially Nicky Baker. So Shannon Smith swiped it off the side of Nicky Baker's chair to give her side the lead. It will go down as an own goal. That is confirmation on your screens. It's good work from Manchester United. They haven't had too much in way of chances across the 18.5 minutes played, but it's all about taking your moments, and that's been a trademark of their game week 1. We saw it against Hull and East Yorkshire yesterday. fairly cagey, at a deadlock for 35 or so minutes. Sam Taylor capitalised to begin with to put them 1-0 up, and then that's when they started to play and open up, because the opposition, in that case Hull and East Yorkshire, had to chase a game. So it'd be interesting to see if Villa Rockets Lions start to go for this, start to take a few more risks in pursuit of that equaliser, and if that in turn opens up opportunities and space for Manchester United to capitalise. 30 seconds or so left. Manchester United look almost certain to go into the break. 1 goal to the good. Kieran Burns. Kieran Burns. Met by Mason Hindley. Too aggressive from Kieran Burns, who surely gives he's given his final warning from Steve Crump. I spoke to the physicality of that battle between himself and Mason Hindley. And Josh Slack tries to come away with it. It's the final action of the first half. Manchester United 1, Villa Rockets Lions 0, courtesy of an own goal which was guided over the Villa Rockets Lions goal line by their designated goalkeeper, Nicky Baker. But thank you to all that are tuning in whilst we wait for the second half. I'll bring up the live league table. I'll be back very shortly. Hello everyone and welcome back to the second half of action in Manchester United versus Villa Rockets Lions, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, and now co-commentator Dean Williams for the second half of action. How are you?
I'm very good, Ryan. Did you miss me?
Very much so.
A game and a half without me, I think.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of commentating with Troy Willicombe on the previous game. But he was, of course, on court A with Nick Woodward, overseeing the action of AFC Bournemouth Warriors and Nottingham Forest, for which we was just talking about a prolific 8-1 victory for Nottingham Forest. And did you know that that tally of 8 goals matches their entire 23-24 campaign?
Well, from the jubilation, you can kind of sense that it was quite a moment. Nick and I were talking about, is that a record goals scored in a game for Nottingham Forest?
I would put a degree of certainty on that. They've always typically struggled for goals, as already stated. 8 goals across the whole 22-game fixture season.
That's quite something in one game.
Add to that, of course, Riley Priestley with 7 of Nottingham Forest's 8 strikes. And with our graphics now, I can bring up the live league scorers of the Optegra Championship. You'll see Riley Priestley sits 1 below George Holloway in 8. It's a fantastic tally for him. But here we have Manchester United, a goal to the good against Villa Rockets Lions, courtesy of that own goal scored by Nicky Baker in the first half. Shannon Smith, who I referenced across the first 20 minutes and being isolated, but have to be ready and prepared in case the ball is to break in her vicinity. And when it did so, she guided it into the side of the Villa Rockets Lions goalkeeper, opening the scoring. Appeals from both Kieran Burns and recently substituted Luke Millington. So confirmation of that substitute for Villa Rockets Lions sees Sam Turner leave the court. Daniel Ball has an attempt on goal, a real venom to trouble Kieran Burns. He wasn't on commentary for the first half, Dean, but I spoke about this battle, this very battle here. We compared these two players, having commentated on Villa Rockets Lions and Manchester United respectively across game week 1 of the Optegra Championship, and now we get to see them up against each other. The battle was very key in the first half, and it's proven to be so,
I'm sure,
in the second as well.
I was literally going to ask you that question, having not seen the first half. There's something telepathic going on here. Right between the two of us. We're spending too much time together. I think that's the problem.
I think that is. But as it stands, 23 minutes played, Kieran Burns with the advantage in that particular battle. With his team a goal to the good. Unfortunate for Sam Taylor that he's kicking on the left-hand side, wide of the left-hand post. One thing I did reference, though, Dean, was the bravery of Manchester United's approach several times across that first half. Josh Slack occupied a position in the Villa defensive half. So, in certain phases of play, Manchester United are committing all players forward, which is fantastic to see, whilst it does come with its risks, of course.
We've said it so many times, haven't we, in the games that we've been fortunate enough to watch. Well, both these teams actually over the course of the weekend, but I'm not sure Pete Taylor's going to thank us too much for highlighting it as much as we are. Nor Josh. I want it to be a secret.
But talking about it in the earlier 1-0 victory over Sale United, whilst he does have a tendency to come out his box, as you're seeing him do so now, He's never typically gated with Kieran Burns, and when I say the term gated would refer to when two players are right side by side. There's no angle, there's no depth. It's always good when you're playing in a 1-2 pivot system that one is more advanced than the other and at a good angle to receive and return passes. And that's something he always does. So whilst there is an element of risk, they're really working their way around that and minimising it. Kieran Burns just having a glance left and right as to see what his best option is. This is where I'd like to see him pass back to Josh Slack. Passing forward, passing backwards to go forward, which they've done so. Nearly leads to a goal scoring opportunity, but what that does cannot be understated. It comes with the risk and a certain bravery passing backwards to the most defensive of the four players, certainly when your most defensive player has no supporting players beyond them. Just invite opposition on, and if you can create the accuracy in the passing channels, there's opportunities to have, and that is the perfect example that Sam Taylor had. One thing I have noted though, when we was commentated on Hull and East Yorkshire, Manchester United yesterday, Sam Taylor registered both his goals when operating as a left winger for Manchester United. He's currently on the right, and I have to say I do think he's more effective on the alternate wing, whether it's a fluid system in which Pete Taylor's adopting or they're fairly rigid with Sam Taylor on Manchester United's right, Shannon Smith on the left. I don't know. But
That's a great spot.
But worth noting that his timing and connection, certainly that second goal against Hull and East Yorkshire, means I would definitely stick with him on the other wing. One to watch across the remaining 13 or so minutes. Because just like the running game of football, power chair football players do have preferences in terms of what side of the bumper they wish to strike a ball on, just like a left or right foot preference. Some will have that ambidextrous nature where they are proficient with every part of the chair, but some more limited, and that can be a result of many factors in terms of impairment or ability or visibility that they have. So once you delve into it, there's so many aspects to power chair football that you may not necessarily know when seeing the sport for the first time. Daniel Ball into Mason Hindley, strikes into the side of Kieran Burns' chair. Luke Millington just backs off a little bit. Mason Hindley now on the left. Once again, Burns and Hindley battling away in pursuit of possession. Comes away with a goal kick for Manchester United, which will be taken by Joshua Slack. Over to Taylor. Just hasn't quite been able to get his timing or connection when utilising the right side of his bumper.
Just saw that in perfect demonstration, didn't we? Just didn't look as confident as he does on the other side. What do we know? Could be a master stroke.
I don't claim to be a coach or an analyst, just simple observations that you can make based off successes that they've had. And Sam Taylor, with 3 goals across Manchester United's now 4 games, shows that he can score. just unlocking his potential and his ability as best possible, and creating an environment in which he can thrive. He just guides it towards the half of Villa Rockets line. Shannon Smith now switching wing, so we're going to see Sam Taylor on the right as you're viewing it, the left of Manchester United. If he does manage to score whilst on this wing, I'm going to clip it.
And equally so if he scores while he's back on the other wing.
I am happy to be proved wrong. It was just an observation that his goal he scored so brilliantly yesterday was on the right-hand side as you're viewing it, and it was a lot easier said than done, that finish. He had to get the timing and connection very much correct, and that's what's proving difficult for him on this left-hand wing. It may just be a matter of his timing not being quite with it today, rather than a positional-based consideration. Very vocal from Manchester United, Kieran Burns and Pete Taylor alike.
Trying to get Sam to, I think, to notice that quicker, the danger.
Yeah. This Manchester United's final game of game week 1, the 24-25 Optegra Championship. Villa Rockets Lions, likewise, they're back in action 23rd of November against AFC Bournemouth Warriors, bottom of the division. So on paper, an easier start to game week 2 than their ending game week 1. Substitute signalled by Steve Crump for this match, complemented by Caroline Goldsborough and Alan Murray. Sam Turner coming on in place of Daniel Ball. Had more involvement and success in the first half. Daniel Ball very isolated in the second. I think credit for that is owed to Manchester United, who have for the most part limited Villa Rockets in way of attack. They may have an opportunity here. Sam Turner with his first involvement since his reintroduction to action. Unfortunately for him, rolls out of play for a Manchester United goal kick.
Speaking to Kieran Burns a little bit earlier this afternoon, talking about how confident they are when they get their noses in front, just to literally hold out, stay disciplined and hold out that lead. And of course, with just under 7.5 minutes left, they'll be hoping for more of the same.
Fired into the side of Kieran Burns from Mason Hinley. Shannon Smith going to try and break. Sam Smith. Shannon Smith now on the other side of the box, waiting to see if Sam Taylor can squeeze it out. Kept in from Kieran Burns, trying to weave past Sam Turner. Manchester United far more conservative now, though. I think they have acknowledged the fact that they're 1-0 to the good and don't want to do too much in way of jeopardising that scoreline and potential 3 points. Once it goes out of play, I'll bring up live league standing, certainly for the top 6 teams, so you see how this result impacts their placement in the Optegra Championship table. And I'll bring that up now. See, 3 points for Manchester United would put them second on 10 points. Two points behind Muscle Warriors. But 3 wins and 1 draw to start their first season back in the Championship. brilliant statement of intent as they look to reach the Premiership once again. Flicked down the court by Kieran Burns, met by Mason Hindley. Shannon Smith down to Sam Taylor, blocked by the reverse in Mason Hindley. 2-on-1 awarded in favour of Manchester United. Indirect free kick to resume play. See Joshua Slack now looking to get involved in the attack. Sam Taylor, the most defensive of the four players, but switches with Shannon Smith following some strong instructions from his dad, Pete Taylor, on the sidelines. Burns to take. They've done that a few times. They've rushed set pieces. They're going to want to maintain concentration with this final 4.5 minutes. It's a very vocal game, this, from both teams, commanding and shouting instructions to one another. Mason Hindley down to Luke Millington. Samuel Taylor prevents Mason Hindley from advancing. Slight bit of contact from Mason Hindley. Nothing too malicious, but enough for Steve Crump to award a direct free kick. Mason Hindley, of course, already has been awarded a yellow card across game week 1. I think it's 3 yellow cards result in a 1-game suspension. Burns. 2-on-1 awarded in favour of Villa Rockets Lions. Arguably a very tight one. I thought United did just enough to maintain a 3-metre distance between one another. Full time on court A. Manchester City nil, Hull and East Yorkshire nil. A share of the spoils for two teams with probably their main objectives of the season are to just maintain championship status. All the way back to Nikki Baker. Lapsing concentration there. I think she thought the ball was clear of her chair. It just ricocheted off the side, out for a corner. A gift for Manchester United, who have 2 minutes left to secure 3 points.
Not when they needed that.
It certainly isn't. And if Manchester United are able to capitalise on this and double their advantage, it'd be really frustrating for them. But Sam Taylor to take. Fortunately for him, for the 3rd time, I think, in quick succession, certainly for attacking set pieces, they've left the court before they've entered the court. I'd like to see him just take a little bit more time there. They've got 1.5 minutes now, and what was an opportunity to really wind down the clock has now turned into a Villa Rockets Lions attack. This would be a real upset for Manchester United, who have been in the driving seat for 95% of this game. Hindley over. Sam Taylor clears. Final minute on the 20-minute half in which you've commentated, Dean. Push you for a player of the match.
I think that's tricky because you watched the whole game and I haven't, so I'll defer to you on this one.
I think all of the Manchester United players have played a significant part in what looks like will be a 3-point performance. I think Josh Slack, whilst had very little to do, has been commanding, has had defensive stability, and has provided Kieran Burns with the platform to then build upon. Once again, the nature of power chair football, a lot of it gets locked up in the central areas of the court, and for that you have to give Kieran Burns credit. I think he's had the better of the battle with Mason Hindley, another incredibly tough physical player. Being an own goal, you can't then just automatically associate player of the match to the goal scorer, while Shannon Smith did play a contributing role to that ball going over the line. Sam Taylor has played a part in expanding the play, hasn't quite had that clinicalness he had yesterday. So pushed for a single player, I would say Kieran Burns.
He'll be very happy with that after receiving player of the match in the previous game as well.
And rightfully so. I said it earlier that I think this is Kieran Burns' strongest National League performance that he's had. I don't recall him having a performance quite to this level when operating at Teesside, and similarly when referencing Manchester United last season in the Premiership, they did struggle, but
he's driving them on, isn't he? He's a driving force.
He is at the moment, and now full time we can bring up the league table as it stands currently. You'll see that Manchester United, of their 4 games played, have won 3, drawn 1, lost none, scored just 4. So scored 4.
Incredible.
Scored 4, conceded none, but sit on 10 points. So a fantastic way to cap game week 1. Thank you to all that have tuned in, to myself and Dean. Hope you can tune in to other games, well, the remaining 2 games, or 4 games if you consider Core A, in game week 1 of the 24-25 Optegra Championship.